I'm Guy Training, a professor from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
And I'm Kimberly and Ingraham-Beck from Gretna Public Schools.
And this is CS4NE. And today we're talking about all kinds of nifty assignments that if you're stuck or if you have just an hour that is between units or just before Thanksgiving, and we're shooting this, then you can do this and your kids can still learn. So let's start.
Yes. So the first one I have for you is one that I found. It's called Escape from Dr. Sodaba's Office. Okay. And so it starts off, it's a Google form. And so it's very hands-off. I just posted it as an assignment for my students on Google Classroom, and then had them upload a screenshot at the end showing that they'd completed it. And then I had them work as groups. In groups as well. So it starts off, you are exploring the lair of the villain, Dr. Sodabuzz. As you enter his private office, a heavy door automatically swings shut behind you and locks with a heavy thud that you can feel. And so here, the creator of this has different options that you can pick. And so this was created by the University of Alabama at Huntsville, by the way.
Oh, excellent.
And it does not collect student information, does not collect email addresses or anything, so it's safe to use in the classroom. So your students make a selection and then they go through the different menus. So here, now that we've decided not to panic, we can go ahead and examine the office. And here...
And just so you know, I decided to panic.
Uh-oh.
You still get to examine the office.
Yes, I have done that too. So here it gives you a little bit of information, examining the office and looking around. So you can click on places to go forward, and you can always go back and continue looking at other places. And so here, it just kind of gives you little clues as you go through, and there will be PDFs that you can look at that you have to reference later, and all sorts of really awesome hidden clues. So it's a really, really fun assignment, and my kids really enjoyed it. If students aren't used to escape rooms, it's a little bit of a stretch just for them to think through the different clues. So that's what I really like about having kids work together. Yes. So actually... Okay, we want to go look at the bookshelf, I think, is where that picture was. Yeah. So here we have, it says that you scan the spines of the books, but nothing really catches your eye. However, you notice a manila envelope that has been shoved in between two books. And so if we examine the manila envelope, we see this picture of a guy with a bunch of birds. And the number of birds is important. So that's what I mean. Students may look at this and they may not immediately jump to, let me count the number of birds. So, but working in a group, after they kind of, start talking through things, then they can start figuring these things out. So, fun activity.
And what I love about it is you can easily see how you can then, if you have a little bit more time or you have one more class session, is you can flip this and say, now you go, because you have access to Google, now you go and build something similar with maybe 5 steps or 4 steps minimum, something like that, and then they can give it as a challenge to each other. So you can stretch this kind of a nifty small assignment to actually have them think, because what it does do is, of course, algorithmic thinking.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And the challenge and everything else is for the players, but you also have to think what leads to what are dead ends and all of that. How do you make sure that nobody just gives up in the middle of the game and all that?
Yeah.
All right.
Fun activity. We'll post a link that you can click on if you want to use that.
All right. What's the next one?
So the next one I have is one that I'm going to use before Thanksgiving break. Ooh. So some kids are out of town. They left early for Thanksgiving. Kids aren't very motivated, but we still have to do something academic. So I have my students play binary bingo. Ooh. And so with that is I give them each a bingo card where all of the numbers are in binary. And then I do a random number generator where it picks it in decimal, which is what the numbering system we use. So, 10, 20, 50, whatever. And then the students have to take the decimal number and convert it into binary. And I do go through this with them several times. And I usually go through the first several together. And so if your students need a little more guidance or a little more scaffolding, I did also find this activity. So it shows base 10, which is decimal, what we're using, and then base 2, which is binary. And so it actually shows the different places. And then the actual worksheet looks like this, so students can work their way through and start trying to figure out what the number is.
So how long do you, if they do this and you expect them to do this on their own, how long do you give them after you say each number?
That's an excellent question. I usually kind of play it by ear. And especially after I've gotten to know some of the students a little bit, I can kind of tell maybe they're struggling a little bit. So I don't go too fast. I know the kids are really anxious and some of them are going to get it right away. But also some kids will call out the number. They'll say, oh, that's 101, which I don't
appreciate.
Well, no, I was going to say I don't necessarily tell them to not do that. But I caution them like, well, that may not be right.
Yeah.
So just because somebody else says the number doesn't mean it's right. But usually then the other kids will jump in and say, no, it's not. It's, 111 or something. So,
but what I am saying is you have to think about the kids who can't hold it in and prepping in a way that will be productive, because obviously there's quite a bit of thinking involved, especially if you're not used to binary numbers. So the fact that some kids are super fast, that's just how their brain works, or they've had a lot of practice. Either way, you want to make sure that they're not taking away from the experience of students who just take a little bit longer but can get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great point.
All right, so that's the second one. Yeah. And third one is...
AI for Oceans.
AI for Oceans, one of my favorite things. It's part of the Hour of AI, although if you really want to see something cool, go on... code.org and look at the Hour of AI activities. There are now over 60 activities that are available that have been accumulated more recently. But the most important thing for me is the introduction to AI. And this is something that AI for Oceans does for practically anybody at any age. Although, again, what I love about it as somebody who really loves elementary schools and what we can do in them is that it works really well in elementary schools. So let's go to the actual activities. The videos are great, but the money is in actually training your own AI to recognize what belongs in the ocean and what doesn't. And so you have an introduction, and basically the idea is, the idea is to make sure that we know, does this go in the ocean and does this, or does it not, as a way to clean the ocean. So we have a little bit of an environmental message here, but the important thing is we're actually training a machine to do this work. So let's continue. And this is a fish, I'm pretty sure. And continue, and now we're training our own AI, and this is not fish, right? So you can see that, especially in the first level, it walks you through it slowly, right? So you do fish, and not fish, and not fish. Oops. I
do have my touchpad on.
And it gives you some facts throughout the way and all of that. But the main idea is that you get to decide when you stop, and then you watch how it does it on its own. So you're training your AI and then watching it. And if you don't do enough training, it'll make lots of mistakes. And if you do a lot of training, it makes less mistakes. And as the levels go on, because there are a few of those, it adds complexity. So it adds other sea creatures. So you can see if you train only on fish, it's not going to recognize a squid as something that should stay in the water, and it's going to take it away. So all of these layers are really, really fun. I think it's a fun, easy way to start thinking about how AI actually can get trained. Of course, this is not how large language models are trained.
True.
That's a little bit of a different process, but this is a way to train AI and understand how AI builds the more data it has. So the basics of machine learning. So that's a great activity. If you have 45 minutes, kids can go through all of these activities or most of these activities and get a sense about what AI and machine learning is.
That's awesome.
All right. So this time we talked about a few nifty assignments you can do if you have just one class period.
Yes. And these, I think, are also approachable for high school and middle school.
Yeah.
Some maybe, upper elementary, especially the AI for Oceans, could definitely handle that. But yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time on CS4NE.